Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina with another Sunday night live stream fishing show. Hopefully, all are ready for another great Sunday night live stream fishing show. We've got a great one lined up for y'all, and we're going to get started here shortly. Happy Sunday night, Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina with another live stream show. I've missed you guys. It's been a little while since we've done this. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight and hanging out with me. Again, Captain Dylan Hubbard from Hubbard's Marina. Hubbard's Marina has been fishing local waters since 1928. Over 4 generations, now 5 generations. And fishing local waters almost 100 years. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about fishing tips, tricks, and more. We're going to give away some free stuff. We're going to be talking all about fishing, what's coming up, what's going on, fishing regulations. We're going to be talking a little bit about everything and answering your questions. So thanks for tuning in, guys. If you are watching live, if you're watching Sunday night, September 8th at 8:30 p.m. Give us a few minutes. We're going to get started here shortly. If you're not watching live, if you're watching this at a later date, catching the rerun, if you will, you can skip forward to where you see the video start and join us then, because the video is going to start in just a few minutes, guys. I got started a little late tonight. Normally we start a little bit early, and then I can kick it off right at 8:30. But this morning, or tonight we started a little bit behind, so give me a second, we'll get rolling. Remember to comment where you're watching from. Don't forget to share this video with your friends on your timeline. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, please. We'd appreciate it. And as always, don't forget to call your friends, text your friends, grab a drink, sit down, relax. We're going to get started here shortly. We're going to go for about 45 minutes or so tonight. It is going to be a little shorter tonight. I want to get back to hanging out with my son, so not going to go as long as normal tonight, but doesn't mean we're not going to cover some great information and still give away, as always, some free fishing trips. So if you want a chance to win some free fishing trips, sit back, relax. We're going to get started shortly. Hopefully you guys have some questions lined up for me. We're going to be talking all about what we've been catching this week and what's been going on. We've had some really nice fish caught in the last couple days. Backside of Hurricane Dorian here, that weather cleared up nicely. We've had a beautiful weekend, and we still got some more beautiful days ahead. So definitely a great time to get out there on the water. Super light loads right now, not a lot of people around, so a great time to get out there on the boat and enjoy plenty of room and great opportunities to get out there. So I think we're just about ready here, guys. Don't forget to comment on or comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like our video, thumbs up the video, share it with your friends. I'd appreciate it. So let's get this thing rolling here. How you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us on this beautiful Sunday night here at Hubbard's Marina. And thank you for all the comments and kind words. To answer the big question, yes, my son was born Jack Wilson Hubbard is his full name, and he was born Sunday, August 25th. So that's why we haven't been doing the show the last 2 weekends. We took a little time off there from work and unfortunately from live videos to spend some time with him and my wife as we get adjusted to parenthood. But needless to say, it's been a long awaited and a good time. We've really enjoyed connecting and spending time, and he might be making an appearance later in the video, so stay tuned for that. But let's get into what we've been catching and show you guys the good stuff that's been going on at Hubbard's Marina. We've definitely been catching some nice fish. I haven't been around that much, which is a little weird to me because normally I'm there all the time, but hey, spend some time at home catching up with the family. It was really, really cool. Baby Jack was 7 pounds and 11 ounces and 21 inches long, so came out a respectable keeper red grouper. But these photos here that I'm showing you are from our 39-hour fishing trip, the last 39-hour fishing trip. They saw some really nice mangroves. There's one of the bigger mangroves. They had some nice gag grouper, little blurry photos here. I apologize for that, guys, but we're going to have some better ones showing you shortly. But a nice big kingfish. They got a couple scamp, some nice amberjack, some red grouper. Definitely some nice fish from that recent 39-hour fishing trip. Here's some of those jacks at the dock. Happy family out fishing together. There's some of the jackpot winners. Big red grouper, big mangrove, and big amberjack. All happy anglers who won the jackpot. So here's just a taste of some of those 39-hour fish. They had a great trip out there. The amberjack bite's been a little slow. We've been struggling a little bit on those jacks. On those 39-hour trips, we have a 2-day bag limit. That means you're allowed twice what you're normally allowed on a single day trip. So on a 39-hour trip, you can take home 2 keeper amberjack. But unfortunately, lately it's been tough to find everybody on the boat a keeper amberjack, and then on top of that, a second keeper amberjack, just because they haven't been that thick. They haven't been that aggressive. We're catching nice amberjack, don't get me wrong, as you saw from those photos. And you're going to see from our Flying Hub 2 photos, we've definitely been catching jacks. It's just we haven't really been finding that big massive pile of jacks to limit the boat out. We did on that 44-hour full moon trip back in August. We had some really rough weather, some 8-10 foot seas on that 44-hour. And that, for some reason, had those amberjacks very excited. They fed well for us, and we caught a ton of them. Since that trip, our 39-hour trips have just been kind of hit and missing with those amberjacks. Some trips catching 10, 15, 20. Some trips catching 20, 30. But we haven't had a trip that caught 40, 50, 60 amberjack like we did on that 44-hour. Just, it's been a little tough. And I think that has most to do with how warm the water is and how early in the fall we are. Those amberjack like those cooler weather times. We catch a ton of amberjacks in November, December, January, February, but unfortunately amberjack season this year is just September, October, or August, September, and October. So we're a little bit handicapped this year with that season. But I would assume that last month of amberjack season, that October time, should be a really good time to catch amberjack. Plus, as that water cools down, those gag groupers should be biting better too. So October is shaping up to be hopefully a really, really good month to be a fisherman and a bad month to be a fish. So hopefully those cold fronts will start kicking up there sometime early to mid-September, get those fish moving, and there by the beginning to mid-October we should see that big push of amberjack that we're hoping for, and hopefully get those trips really eliminated out on those big jacks. But all this to say, we're catching amberjack right now, but we're just not finding big concentrations of them. We're finding some big fish, and we're finding a decent number of them, but we're not bringing home mountains of amberjack, unfortunately. We are seeing some nice gag grouper, as you saw in those photos. Mixed in with those gag grouper, we've been finding some nice scamp grouper. And, of course, the mangrove snapper bite's been pretty good for us out there in that deeper water. We've been fishing anywhere from about 120 to about 180 foot, doing really well on some big mangrove snapper. That double snell rig is always my favorite with the thread fin plug. That's my go-to setup while fishing for those mangrove snapper. It doesn't matter if I'm near shore or offshore, that thread fin plug, which means you take the thread fins that we give you on the boat, you cut the head, you cut the tail, trim the belly, and you're left with a little rectangular piece of meat to put those double snell rig hooks into. And on our website, if you go to hubbardsmarina.com, let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see a little better. If you go to our website and go to fishing trips and then scroll down to fishing tips and tricks, right on our fishing tips page, there's a bunch of videos, including how to tie that double snell rig, how to brine your bait, and then also how to rig that double snelled bait for mangrove snapper fishing. So those videos are great resources if you're sitting there at home wondering what I'm talking about when I say a thread fin plug or a double snell rig. Those are the good options if you want to go out there and target those mangrove snapper on a 39-hour trip or a 12-hour night snapper trip. Great way to rig up for those mangrove snapper. And then while you're catching those mangrove snapper, also plenty of lane snapper have been around, and some nice vermilions, and then you always have the chance for those porgies and the occasional yellowtail as well. But let's talk a little bit about dry dock. I know some of you guys have been taking advantage of the dry dock time frame. For those of you guys who don't know what's going on, we take the friendly fishermen, we took the friendly fishermen out of the water, and you can see that here. The friendly fisherman is sitting out of the water, that big party boat, drive it up to Tarpon Springs, pull it out of the water, and we do a lot of work to it. We pull them this time around. We pulled both motors out of the boat, pulled both transmissions out of the boat. We're going to be repainting the boat. We're going to be doing some work to the galleys and also the bathrooms and also the shafts, the running gear. A lot of work to be done to that boat. All in the name of keeping it running well, keeping it safe, and keeping it fast and clean and looking good for our fishing friends. There's a video of them pulling it out of the water on that railway. Pretty cool how it comes up out of the water. But that boat is going to be in dry dock for almost 6 weeks. It'll be returning to service October 10th. Now, in the meantime, our 10-hour all days, instead of being on that big party boat, we're running them on the Hub. And the Hub has been catching some really nice fish. I know a few people have been taking advantage of that. We started that September 3rd. So I know a few trips have gone out and they've been catching a ton of lane snapper, a few hogfish, some nice red grouper here and there, and plenty of other heads and tails too, vermilions, porgies. So a great time to get out there on the Hub and enjoy a 10-hour almost private charter experience for the price of a party boat trip. Similar to our 12-hour Extreme, how you only pay $300 and you get on a private charter experience on the Flying Hub 2. This is a private charter experience on the Hub for the price of the 10 hours. So it's only $90 to get on there as a split charter, essentially. Great opportunity. We're running those Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday for $90. There are no discounts on it because it is a specialty, unique private charter style trip. But those trips fill up very fast. There's not much room left on them already, all the way into October. So if you're sitting there interested, I would call us tomorrow morning when we open, or book it now online sometime tonight. But I want to show you this video real quick. It's always pretty cool to see those motors come out of the boat. So you want to know how we take a motor that weighs, 600 pounds, more than that, probably close to 1,000 pounds out of the boat. We cut the boat up. And here's a video of that. So we cut a hole in the roof, cut a hole in the deck, and then we pull that motor from the engine room right out the top of the roof with a crane. Pretty crazy. A lot of work, and not too much fun to clean up after. I'll let you watch this video here real quick. There it comes. It's a big motor. You'll see it as it gets closer to the guy.
We gotta get a trailer over there for him.
There it goes. Pulled it out. I got another video of them pulling the other motor out, but once you've seen it once, I think you kind of already seen it. So I'm not going to bore you with the second motor coming out of the boat, but definitely pretty cool to see those big motors coming out. That's a whole lot of money getting hoisted in the air, and it's pretty dangerous. So those guys up in Tarpon Springs are doing a ton of work. All the crew and captains are spending 6 days a week, 10 hours each day up in the yard, doing a lot of hard work, climbing in and out of the bilge, up the ladder, down the ladder, crawling in and out of the holes, scrubbing that boat, cleaning that boat, grinding, painting, sanding. It's a lot of work in dry dock. So definitely big shout out to our captains and crew working hard in Tarpon Springs, getting that boat ready. But back to what you guys are mostly interested in. Let's see how the Flying Hub 2's been doing. They've been catching some really, really nice fish, and let's get into that. So here's a nice amberjack. Again, the Flying Hub 2 takes out up to 16 people. So with 16 guys trying to each catch an amberjack, it's been a little bit of a struggle to get into big numbers of amberjack, but we've been catching some nice ones. And this is from yesterday. They had a really good trip yesterday, and let's show you some of those photos Captain Anthony sent us. So big old amberjack there, another big amberjack, and here's the cream of the crop, the really nice fish they caught coming up here next. Look at that thing. Monster wahoo for this father and son out there fishing on the Flying Hub 2. That is a beautiful fish, and definitely one you don't want to forget, or you won't soon forget for sure. The Spanish name of that fish is Ono. O-N-O. I think it's O-N-O. And they pronounce it Oh No because of how fast that fish is. It's the fastest fish that swims in our area. I think it's the fastest fish in the sea, period. But they swim incredibly fast. So when you hook up to them and they start peel and drag, it's unlike anything else. It's a lot of fun to fight these fish. They definitely did a great job landing that monster. But they were fishing very deep. We've been fishing over 200 foot of water on these trips, and this private charter was out there in super deep water to catch these amberjack. Some of the grouper I'm about to show you, and they even caught another unique fish. Not a real big one, but another unique fish that I'm going to show you here last. This is a monster mutton snapper, beautiful mutton, great eating fish. We don't catch a ton of these in our area, but we do see them from time to time. And most of the time when we find them is on one of those long-range, deep water trips, whether that's a 12-hour extreme, a 39-hour, 44-hour, one of those trips where we're fishing out there in super deep water. We find them all the way up in the middle grounds, around the elbow, and then a lot more commonly south of the elbow too. But beautiful fish nonetheless. Saw some big red grouper coming up on that trip yesterday too. Big old kingfish. Been seeing those kingfish definitely show up a little bit more out there in the deeper water, which is a good sign of what's to come. We love kingfish run season, and just around the corner we should be seeing those kingfish come up even more prolifically. Definitely more and more often as those cold fronts start coming, probably around the first week or two of September. Hopefully we'll see these kingfish start coming closer to shore right along the beaches for that fall kingfish run mixed in with those mackerel. So we're really looking forward to a ton of these kingfish coming close to shore. But right now, most of what we're finding is way out there in deeper water, but they are pretty prolific out there, and we're enjoying that. Nice big old fat red grouper there from the 12-hour extreme, or the 12-hour private charter. And then here is that unique fish I was mentioning earlier. Check that thing out. That is a golden tile fish, not a real big one, but we catch those golden tile fish in super deep water most of the time, very far south. But we've definitely been seeing an uptick in these. These are this is probably about the sixth or seventh one we caught this year in our area. and only 250 foot of water. So pretty cool to see these golden tilefish start making their way up north a little bit. Hopefully we'll start seeing those more commonly in bigger sizes too. So pretty cool, unique fish for sure. Typically you catch those golden tiles 5, 6, 700 foot of water, and we've been seeing them in 200 foot, 300 foot. So pretty unique. Even though it's not a real big fish, it's pretty cool to see nonetheless. Now let's show you some of the inshore fishing. We've been seeing a lot of these inshore fishing photos from our Fox 13 fishing reports. If you guys don't know about it, we do, Hubbard's Marina has a Fox 13 news segment every Friday morning at 8:15 a.m. And if you don't catch it live, you can always view it on their website. Fox 13 posts it to their website. So all you have to do is just go to Google and type in Fox 13 News Tampa Bay. And once you Google that, it'll bring up their Tampa Bay or Fox 13 News website. And once on their website, you can click Good Day, which is the show, Good Day Tampa Bay. And you can always catch the latest episode of the Good Catch segment. And that's the segment that I'm doing. It's called Good Catch. Let me zoom in a little. Oh, not that much. The Good Catch. So you can just look for it in the little videos, and you can watch the latest video.
As a small business owner, you know that an IT challenge can be a monster that prevents.
After the commercial, of course, you can watch the latest video. But great way to catch up on those fishing reports if you haven't seen them before. We do those every Friday morning at 8:15 a.m. But because we do these reports, a lot of people, we've been asking people to send us photos and videos from their recent fishing trips. So if you're inshore or near shore or on one of our boats, if you get a really, really good photo, you can always submit it to us via email or through the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, and we can show it off in our Fox 13 segments. So definitely don't forget to submit your photos if you get a great photo of an inshore fish or a nearshore fish or even an offshore fish that you might want to try to get on the news during one of those Good Catch segments. But let's go through some of these inshore photos real quick of what we've been seeing the last couple weeks. Inshore. Here's a big one from Captain Chris Wiggins from Salty Hook Charters. Monster redfish there. There's a big redfish that Brian Harris, this is our live bait guy, he caught this one on our dock at Hubbard's Marina. Now you can see all the scarring and stuff. This fish ate the bait normally, fought normally, brought it up on the dock gently, and it was all scarred up like this. That's how he caught it. That's not something he did, of course. Those fish are closed right now, so they're protected. You can't keep them. They're a catch and release only. So he just brought it up on the dock, unhooked it, took a photo, and released it. Those scars all came like that. Pretty nasty, brutal scars that probably came from a shark or a dolphin, and that is one old bruised up redfish, but it was pretty cool to see nonetheless. Been seeing a lot of mackerel around besides those redfish, so a lot of redfish photos here in the beginning. Those redfish have been pretty thick. We've been seeing them on the small live pinfish or the big live shrimp right along the bottom. Live pinfish seems to be the best bait for those redfish lately, whether you're fishing in the pass, around the dock, around the bridge, or inside Tampa Bay around those oyster bars or mangrove shorelines, or a live shrimp. Also the little 5-inch paddle tails, the little soft plastics with a small weighted jig head, been working well for those redfish. Now the mackerel inside the pass, this gentleman was catching mackerel, and also he was catching these mangrove snapper, and he was catching both of these species with the same bait. He had cast netted a cast net full of greenbacks, and it was an outgoing tide, and he started fishing at the very beginning of that outgoing tide with those free line greenbacks, and he was catching the mackerel right up on the surface with those greenbacks, and then if that bait got closer to the bottom, he was catching these mangrove snappers. So great action right now. This is the south side of Johns Pass Bridge, up underneath the bridge, it's a much deeper, rockier bottom over there on the south side of Johns Pass, and that's where he was catching these mackerel and these mangrove snappers. So pretty cool to see the action in Johns Pass going well too. This is John Sasser with one of his redfish. He said he caught about 10 of these in only about 6 hours using that soft plastic paddle tail artificial bait. And then one of his big snook using those flare hawk style artificial jigs for those snook. He loves those flare hawks at night. Been seeing some big snook around the bridges too. This is from one of our local bridges with the live bait on the bottom. Lots of nice fish inshore right now. And even at the dock, some nice snook on a live shrimp. Oh, and this is a cool video. Let's see if I can play this. So these flashes, probably can't see that all too well, but this is taken from the top of the Johns Pass Bridge at about 5 a.m. in the morning. This is filmed by one of our employees on his walk to work. These are all huge tarpon rolling in the bridge lights. So this is underneath the Johns Pass Bridge, filmed from the top of the bridge with his cell phone. So the video is probably super blurry, but you can see the monster tarpon there just cruising through the light, eating on live white bait and crabs. Anything that floats by, those things are just smacking it. So pretty cool to see those big tarpons still around. Those tarpon won't hang around too much longer, so if you want to get a chance at some of these tarpon, definitely want to get out there and try to get them now before sunrise in the pass. That outgoing tide, floating one of those crabs through the pass is definitely the best way to go. But those are some of the photos that we've been seeing out there, guys, and some of the fish that we've been catching out there. Definitely, as you can see, a great time to go fishing near shore, offshore, inshore. Inshore, those redfish are definitely the big thing going on, but we're seeing the mackerel and the mangroves. Near shore, we're seeing those hogfish. The hogfish bite is definitely starting to pick up for us, plus a ton of lane snapper, and then mixed in with the lane snapper, a few mangroves, the chance for a red grouper or two. Offshore, we've been seeing some decent red grouper action, some decent gag grouper action, a few nice scamp mixed in with those gags out deep, and then a chance at some of those amberjack. We've been catching a handful of amberjack here and there, sometimes even a little bit more. Kingfish are picking up out there in offshore waters, a few tuna still around. As you can see, the occasional chance at one of those trophy wahoo as well. So great time to get out there and go fishing. But let's get into some of these photos and, some of these questions and answer some of the questions. One question I see here is how long before we can keep redfish inshore? Those redfish, snook, and trout are catch and release only all the way through end of May 2020. So it's going to be a while before you can catch a redfish, trout, or snook and be able to keep it, unfortunately. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that one. But don't worry, guys. Along with bad news comes good news, and I think it's time to go ahead and give away some free stuff. I think we're going to give away a 5-hour half day for 2 people here real quick and keep you guys on your toes. So let's see who won a 5-hour half day for 2. Keep in mind, guys, we're also going to give away a 10-hour all day for 2. And then we're going to give away a 39-hour fishing trip for a half price for one person. But if we get over 300 live viewers, which right now we're at 240-ish, if we get up to 300 live viewers, it's going to be a free 39-hour trip for one person instead of just half price. So keep in mind that it behooves you to share this video with friends, comment on the video, like the video so more people watch, because it gives you a chance to win that 39-hour. But let's see who won a 5-hour half day for 2. $110 value, absolutely free, going to Kevin Scott Baker. Kevin Scott Baker, congratulations, sir. Thank you for watching. Now, the rest of you guys, keep in mind you still have a chance at a 10-hour all-day for two or a half-price 39-hour trip. So stay tuned, guys. The free stuff is still to come. Some more free stuff, I should say, is still to come. But let's go ahead and answer some more of these questions. And then we'll give away some more free stuff. So another good question I saw was about gag grouper. Gag grouper right now, we're catching those mostly on our 39-hour fishing trips, the 44-hour fishing trips, or perhaps a 12-hour extreme trip. We've been seeing a few of them too. Those longer range private charters. Most of the gag grouper have been on deeper water trips, fishing anywhere from 160 to 180 foot or more. Definitely want to be deep water fishing to get a chance of those gag groupers. So the 10-hour trips that are fishing 60 to 100 foot of water don't really have a good shot at those gag grouper. You don't have a good shot at them unless you're out there deeper water on a longer range extended trip. So definitely want to get deep if you're trying to go after those gag grouper. But you have a shot at them, don't get me wrong, in the 10-hour trips and other trips too. But as this time of year, at least, you want to be deep to catch those gag grouper. Now, in a few months, that'll change. Those gag grouper will start coming closer and closer to shore as that water continues to cool off more and more and more. So pay attention to that water temperature and stay tuned to our videos, because those gags could start being caught on those 10-hour trips as the weather changes. But for right now, most of the time, you're only going to see those gags if you're out there in deeper water. Another good question I saw was, what is the best rod and reel for the 10-hour all-day trip? I like a good 4/0 reel, general medium gear ratio, because on those 10-hour trips, you have a shot at those red grouper, you have a shot at those lane snapper, mangroves, hogfish, and then maybe even some yellowtails. You have a shot at some other species too. So it's going to be some smaller snapper, some bigger snapper, and then you have a chance for maybe one of those red grouper. So I would use something with some decent drag if you get a bigger fish, like one of those bigger hogfish, maybe a bigger mangrove, or maybe a red grouper. But then you also want to have something with a little bit higher gear ratio, like a medium to high gear ratio, to be able to catch those snapper species effectively. I really like using my 2-speed reel, like a Daiwa Saltis, Daiwa Saltiga, with like maybe 40-pound test leader. If I'm fishing for a little bit of everything, if I'm targeting those smaller snapper species, maybe a hogfish, like 30-pound test leader, about 4/0 hooks, maybe 5/0 hooks if I'm using a bigger bait, and then like 4 to 6 ounces of lead depending on what the current's doing. But good all-around combo would be a conventional reel, medium high gear ratio with at least 30 pounds of drag, something with maybe 40, 50, 60 pound main line, and then you can step down on the leader to 30, 40, 50 pounds for one of those 10-hour trips. But keep in mind, guys, you can always go onto our website. Just go to hubbardsmarina.com, click fishing trips, and then you can click whatever trip you're interested in. In this case, someone asked about tackle for the 10-hour trip. On all of our website pages for each one of the fishing trips, we have a huge section on what you can expect to catch, what bait we recommend, what are the tips and tricks for that type of trip. And then also we have a huge section about tackle and what tackle we recommend. So the website has all the information and more. And I wrote all of that information myself too. So if you ever have questions on like, hey, what would you recommend for a certain trip, Dylan? It's right there on the website. I wrote it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And hopefully your question will be answered there too. So good question. But right now, that would be my answer. Now, another question I saw was the best all-around rod and reel for a 39-hour trip. I personally use 95% of the time the Daiwa Saltiga LD52 speed on my Bull Bay rod or my Bull Bay rods. custom Hubbard's Marina light green, which is a 30 to 80 combo with 60-pound braided line with a long 60-pound fluorocarbon top shot and a 50 to 60-pound leader. And that's what I'd be fishing with a majority of the trip. Unless I was targeting a big amberjack or a big guy grouper, I might grab my 9-aught with a 125-pound test. Or if I was knocker rig fishing, I might grab a big spinning reel. Or if I was fishing lighter tackle, maybe the bite was a little slower, I might grab my Daiwa Saltist on my lighter bull bay rod and send that one down. So the good all-around medium setup that can do a little bit of everything well on a 39-hour trip. You're looking for 35, 40, 45 pounds of drag in your reel, 60-pound test, and then a variety of leader sizes from 40 to 80 pounds, and then hook sizes anywhere from like 6-aught all the way up to about 10-aught. And then if you can, maybe bring one really big reel like a 9-aught or a big 50 to 80 wide reel for those bigger fish like those big amberjack or big gags, and then maybe a lighter setup for some of the knocker rig fishing, or if the bite's slow, or maybe a pitch rod if you see a mahi swim by. You never know. But that would be a good all-around setup for that 39-hour trip, would be that Daiwa Saltiga LD50 and that bull bay rod that we have in our shop. We have all that tackle that I recommend and that I personally use in the shop available before your trip as well, so you can always come down to the shop and get the rods and reels that we're always recommending. That way it makes it easy for you. Another question I saw was, what was a good left-handed reel? Well, I personally was raised that you fish with a conventional, or you fish with a spinning reel and you reel with your left hand and you hold the rod with your right hand, and it doesn't matter if you're right-handed or left-handed, that's how you did it. This is the way a spinning reel should be set up: left hand on the reel, right hand on the rod. And then when you're fishing a conventional rod, it's the opposite. Your left hand is on the rod and your right hand is on the reel, and that's the way you did it. It doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed, that's the way you fished. Now, a lot of people are not comfortable doing it that way, especially I've seen right-handed guys do things with the butt of the rod that I wouldn't recommend or I wouldn't do. And I've seen left-handed people go out there and spend the extra money to get the custom reels, so they're reeling on the opposite side of that conventional reel. Now, as far as to answer the question, who makes a good left-handed reel, I would go to like Accurate or a Vet. They make left-handed reels that you can special order, and that's where I would go if I was to custom order one of those left-handed reels. But I would honestly and sincerely recommend to anybody out there to just get comfortable using those other setups, those conventional reels with the handle on the right side, because it's going to make you a better, more diverse angler. You're going to be able to go anywhere and use the tackle, because those left-handed reels are so unique. They cost anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50% more than your average conventional reel, because they are so unique and so the supply is so low. So there's just not many of them on the market. So definitely, if you can, try to learn that other style, because you're going to be a lot better off when you go on vacation or you go on a charter boat. You're going to be able to use that tackle. A lot of guys that use these spinning reels their whole lives, they'll come out there and they're always used to reeling with their left hand, so they'll come out and turn the conventional reel upside down so that reel's on the left side, just because they're always used to having the reel handle in their left hand. And that's just not the case. Conventional reel, the reel handle is always on your right side. Spinning reel, it's always on the left side. So it's just something you got to get used to. It doesn't matter if you're right-handed or left-handed. When you're using a spinning reel, handle's always on the left. When you're using a conventional, handle's always on the right. So just a little difficult to get used to. But I mean, I see right-handed guys come and grab a spinning reel, and they won't buy the spinning reel if they can't reverse the handle to the other side, and that doesn't make sense to me either. But personal preference. And unfortunately, with conventional reels, it's not as easy as a spinning reel. You can't just change the handle to the different side of the reel. You got to special order one of those custom ones. So it definitely it makes it a little bit more expensive. Another question I saw was about hogfish. Are you guys seeing more of those hogfish now on our 5-hour trips compared to how it was? Definitely, we've seen a huge uptick in those hogfish. It started maybe the middle of August, early August, and we started catching a few of them here and there. And then we started to catch more and more of those hogfish. And we now are catching some nice keeper hogfish. So we're definitely enjoying the better hogfish action, and it should only get better and better as the water cools down. Those hogfish will become more prolific, more aggressive, and hopefully we'll be seeing more and more of them caught on hook and line. Now, those hogfish we mostly catch on our 10-hour trip, but you have a good shot at them on our 5-hour trips too. And we catch a ton of them on the private charters that we're able to kind of dial in on those hogfish. But great time to get out in the water in the next couple weeks, because and in the next month and the next 2 months, because this time of year is a super slow time of year. Like, we have 20-30 people going out on these half-day trips. On the hub special 10 hours, we only have 10, 12, 13, 14 people going on the boat. The extreme trips, only 10, 12, 14 people going. The 39-hour trips, we are only having 20, 25, 30 people going in the month of October. So great time to get out in the boat. September, October, November, even into December, because the weather's not so hot anymore. That transitional period's going, where we're coming out of summer, we're going into winter. Everything's changing. Those fish are moving. They're aggressive. They're feeding well for us. And there's not a lot of people around, so the trips are really light. So this is one of my favorite times of year, both in the spring and in the fall. Those transitional periods, people always ask the best time of year to go fishing. This is one of my favorite, because you can not only catch all those fish that we catch during the summer, like the wahoo occasionally, and then the snapper species are super aggressive in the summer, but then also we start getting that fall action where those gags are starting to move in, those hogfish are starting to pick up, those kingfish and mackerel are starting to show back up. This is the time of year when all that stuff kind of intermixes. It's a great time to get out in the water for sure. Plus, light loads. Can't beat going out there and enjoying a trip with less people on the boat too. In the summertime, everybody and their brother wants to go fishing during red snapper season, and it's wall-to-wall people everywhere. This time of year, the weather's good, the fish are biting, but no one's here. So take advantage of it. Let's see, what other questions are here? Reed Bullock said, what's biting around the first few weeks of November? And that goes into what I was saying there, Reed. The end of or really the first 2 weeks of October is my favorite time of year, because that's truly the middle of that transitional period. But from September all the way into November, that transition period still going on. So the beginning of November is a great time to go out there and catch gag grouper and scamp grouper out in deeper water. You have a good chance at maybe some red grouper, mangrove snapper out in deeper water. In shallower, we should still have the mackerel and kingfish around, making those 5 and 10 hour trips exciting. We should still be catching plenty of those hogfish. The hogfish bite will only get better and better all the way through December into January, February, and into March. So beginning of November should be a great time to get out there fishing. As far as what's biting, it kind of depends on how deep you're fishing, what trip you're choosing. That would really dictate what kind of fish we're targeting. But let's get into some of these other questions here. Someone said best live stream on YouTube. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Lots of congratulations on the new baby. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. It definitely brings a smile to my face. Baby Jack is awesome. Everybody always talks about having kids and how it'll change you. I was always like, yeah, sure. But now I know what they mean. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? I didn't show a lot of videos tonight, guys, so I'm kind of reading through the comments, trying to catch up and see if I got any more questions. So if I haven't answered your question yet, feel free to write it again in the comments or copy and paste it so it pops right down to the bottom for me. A lot of comments. I'm not seeing a lot of questions, though. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed the show so far. Maybe I answered everybody's questions. All right. Ooh, there's a good question. Jeff said, what's the best way to catch kingfish on a party boat? Well, definitely my favorite way is to either, there's a couple different methods. You can troll for them. A lot of people will troll for those kingfish, especially on those 39-hour trips. We catch a lot of kingfish trolling. The Rapala X-Wrap is a great way to troll for those kingfish, or you can use closer to shore on our 5 and 10-hour trips. We catch kingfish using those planers, like those number 1 or number 2 planers with about 10 to 15 feet of 60-pound test behind the planer to about a 6-inch king spoon. That works well for those kingfish. And then when the boat's stopped and we're bottom fishing, you can flatline for those kingfish. What a lot of times we'll do is we'll use a stinger rig, which is about number 3 or number 4 wire. If the water's a little murky, we'll use number 4. If the water's clear, we'll use number 3. And then size 4 treble hooks and about 6 to 10 inches of wire between your monofilament leader and that first hook, and then about 4 to 6 inches of wire to your second treble hook. And we'll use a thread fin, just a dead thread fin or a dead sardine for bait at first. While the boat's drifting, we'll just set it out there without a balloon, because as the boat's drifting, it'll keep that dead bait up on the surface. Or for anchor fishing, we might use a little balloon to keep that bait up on the surface. And that dead bait, in the motion of the water, is going to dance. It's going to flash, and the kingfish will come grab it if they're hungry. Now, while we're doing that, we're bottom fishing, we're creating a chum slick. Those kingfish will swim up to the boat and hit that flat line. This time of year, you always want to have a flat line out. You might get a kingfish, you might get a wahoo, you might get a tuna, you might get a billfish even. Now, also, what we'll do is while we're bottom fishing, we'll be paying attention to what's coming up, because a lot of times someone will catch something like a blue runner or a spot tail or a tom tate, one of these live baits that we can unhook, and instead of just throwing it back as bycatch, we can then take that live bait and hook it onto our stinger rig. And now we've gone from having a dead thread fin on the stinger rig to now a live bait option for those kingfish. So great ways to catch kingfish is either flatlining, trolling, and then the third way is you can catch them vertical jig fishing. On those deeper water trips, I've seen a lot of guys catch kingfish vertical jigging. It's a great way to catch kingfish out there on a party boat too. And we catch a lot of kingfish on the party boat, especially this time of year in that fall run. We catch a ton of them on those 10-hour trips. I've seen Smokey and Captain Frank and the guys come in from a 10-hour trip with 10, 12, 16, even I think Captain Frank and Smokey together had one trip where they had over 20 kingfish. And that's a lot of kingfish on a party boat, a 10-hour party boat in our area. It's not like the East Coast where the kingfish run is crazy. Our kingfish run's a little bit more mild, but definitely pretty cool to see big numbers of kingfish on the party boat. Let's see, what other questions here? Doug Poole said, how do you order and pay for live bait before a 39-hour trip? Before any of our trips, you can always order live bait. Any 10-hour trip or longer, you can order live pinfish 48 hours ahead of time. We need at least 2 days notice. You can call us and add pinfish to your reservation. If you reserve them 9 out of 10 times, we'll have them waiting for you at the dock, and you'll pay for them, and we'll show you how to pick them up. Live shrimp, you can always order beforehand or even the morning of your trip. You can buy those live shrimp. And then sometimes we'll have some other live bait options like live fiddler crabs. From time to time, we'll have live mullet. Well, some other options out there too. And then we have plenty of dead bait in our office like frozen baby octopus, frozen whole squid, bonita. We have frozen clams. We have a bunch of different options in the frozen bait cooler too. So lots of good decisions as far as extra bait options when you go fishing with us. Another question was, do you offer the 12-hour extreme trip in mid-December? Yes, our 12-hour extreme trip is Wednesday and Sunday the entire year, all 12 months out of the year. We run a 12-hour extreme every Wednesday and Sunday, barring weather or private charter or lack of interest. But from May to August, we also offer a Friday. So May to August, we do Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Right now, obviously, the Friday trips aren't going on, so they're just Wednesday and Sunday. But I screwed up. So in the month of September, instead of being Wednesday and Sunday, they're Tuesday and Sunday this month. That was my bad when I built the schedule. I just accidentally wrote it down wrong, and then it got put in the system wrong, and then no one caught it until it was too late. So this month it's Tuesday and Sunday that we have those 12-hour extreme trips. Josh Gerard said, any recommendations on getting a rod built? I would recommend checking out our custom built rods that we have in our shop, those Hubbard's Marina Bull Bay rods that we custom built. And if you like them, they can always customize them for you, change the colors up on them, paint the blank on them, add different wrapping to them, throw your name on it, whatever you want to do. Or just contact Bull Bay Rods. They make some really, really good custom rods. There's a ton of custom rod builders in our area. Fletcher's Custom Rods, Tortuga Custom Rods, Bull Bay Rods. There's a bunch of different ones, but I really, really like that Bull Bay rod that we built. I spent a lot of time testing it, changing it, picking different options, and the Bull Bay rods was definitely one of my favorites. So there's a lot of options for you though. And let's see what other questions we have here. Another question was about cobia. Are we catching any cobia? We're seeing a few cobia here and there. You never know when we're gonna find those or when they're gonna kind of come across us. We catch those cobia most of the time when we're at anchor. They'll kind of cruise up that chum line, and then we'll get an opportunity to pitch a bait out to them or use a lure. I really like those little white bucktails with a little plastic eel or plastic it's similar to when you're bass fishing. They call them Senko worms, those little bass worms, like 6, 9, 10-inch little soft plastic worms. You can throw that on one of the white bucktail jigs that you would use, like a Spro jig or a different flare hawk style bait, and put that little soft plastic on there, and that makes a great cobia bait, because cobia love hunting eels and sea snakes up on the surface. So when you present them that little bucktail with that soft plastic behind it, it's a great pitch bait for cobia or a tail hooked pinfish. But we don't catch a ton of cobia in our area, but we do see them from time to time, and that's mostly how we catch them, either by pitching them out a live bait or pitching them out an artificial, or just by happenstance we're dropping down a bait and we catch them on the drop or catch them on the reel up. All right, let's give away a 10-hour trip here. I think it's time to do another giveaway and keep you guys on your toes. So let's see here who won a 10-hour all-day trip. Wait, I gotta click that reset button. Switch screens too early. Get that reset button to capture any new comments. All right, so let's see who won a 10-hour all day for two. This is a $180 value, 10-hour all day for two. Casey Cousins, Saltiga 2-speed. Now, keep in mind, guys, if you are the lucky chosen winner, you do have to message our page, message us within about 10-15 minutes, so that way we know you were watching live. And all you do is just shoot us a message with your full name and your home address, so we can mail you out your certificate to be redeemed whenever you choose to go fishing. Nothing beats going fishing and getting some free trips. Is that Mama?
Yep.
Uh-oh. Is it time? Baby Jack's been crying a little bit, I hear, in the other room. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Everybody was asking about him. There he is. How you doing, Jack? Oh, hey, buddy. Baby Jack, you're on TV. Yep, there he is. There you go. Now, as I was saying, we gave away that 10-hour all-day trip, and now we're going to give away a 39-hour trip, bud. See who won that. Let's see who gets to go fishing. And keep in mind, guys, we're going to do the show again next week, so hopefully you can tune in live again next weekend. We do these Sunday night shows every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. So if you want to tune in again next weekend, we're going to be giving away more fishing trips. We're going to be talking more about fishing and answering your fishing comments, questions, and concerns. And then also sharing more information. So thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. I appreciate y'all watching. Don't forget, Friday mornings, 8:15, we have our Fox 13 segments. Don't forget, Sunday nights, 8:30 p.m., we have our live stream shows. Every Saturday and Sunday morning, we've got the Real Animals Fishing radio shows. Tune in for that. And then hopefully we'll see you inside John's Pass at Hubbard's Marina to go fishing. You might even meet Baby Jack down there one of these days. So come out and see us. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy. And before we sign off, we got to see who won that half-price 39-hour trip. You want to see who won?
Hungry.
He said yes.
Always hungry.
Yes, he is always hungry. So let's see who won that 39-hour fishing trip. All right. Half price 39-hour trip. That is $369 normally, only $180 to Ryan Smith from Iowa. Ryan Smith from Iowa, congratulations. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll catch you again next week for another episode of the Hubbard's Marina live stream show. And hopefully next week we'll be able to get someone else to come join us and in studio besides Baby Jack here. And we'll see you next week. So remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy. Thanks for tuning in, guys.